The Galactic Council's mistake Ambassador Zrix adjusted his ceremonial robes as he entered the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council. The massive chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of polished crystal floors with floating platforms, accommodating representatives from over 400 species. Today's meeting concerned a routine matter that had been postponed for decades due to more pressing galactic affairs. They were finally going to discuss the primitive world in the Sol system. The holographic display materialized above the central platform, showing a blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star. Earth, as its inhabitants called it, looked remarkably similar to dozens of other worlds that had been peacefully integrated into galactic civilization over the past millennium. The data scrolling beside the image told a familiar story of a young species just beginning to explore beyond their home world. Honored delegates, Zrix began, his melodic voice carrying easily through the chamber's acoustics. We gather today to authorize first contact with the species known as humans. Our long-range observation teams have completed their assessment. After 50 years of study, Council Member Visis, a crystalline being whose faceted body caught and reflected the chamber's lights, chimed in with musical tones. What is their technological level, Ambassador? Quite primitive, I'm afraid, Zrix replied, manipulating the holographic display. Images of crude metal rockets appeared, drawing amused sounds from several delegates. They achieved basic space flight only recently. Their fastest vessels require months to reach their nearest planetary neighbor. They have yet to develop faster-than-light communication or travel. The Catherian representative, Fleet Commander Veltar, stood to address the assembly. His reptilian features showed the confidence that had made his species one of the galaxies. Most respected military powers, have they detected our observation probes? Not at all, Zrix answered with certainty. Their sensor technology is limited to electromagnetic radiation. They cannot detect our cloaked vessels or quantum communication networks. We have been studying them undetected for half a century. Murmurs of amusement rippled through the assembly. It was always the same with primitive species. They developed just enough technology to leave their world, then the galaxy stepped in to guide them properly. The process had been refined over thousands of years and never failed to work smoothly. What of their political structure? Asked Councillor Vex, whose massive form dominated his platform. Fragmented, Zrix replied, displaying a map showing hundreds of national boundaries. They are divided into competing nation-states that frequently engage in warfare. Their weapons technology focuses primarily on kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. Though some nations possess primitive nuclear devices, this drew more amused sounds from the assembly. Nuclear weapons were considered a crucial milestone in species development, the point where they became dangerous enough to themselves to require galactic intervention. Most species developed them around the same time they achieved interplanetary travel, making the timing of first contact predictable. I recommend Standard Protocol 7, Zrix continued. A diplomatic approach with minimal military escort. We offer them membership as a protectorate species under the guidance of the Alterian Diplomatic Corps. Once they understand the benefits of galactic civilization, they will accept our terms. Fleet Commander Veltar nodded approvingly. I volunteer my battle group for escort duty. The Sovereign's pride and for support vessels should be more than sufficient for any complications. Complications? Councillor Vex rumbled with laughter. What complications could arise from first contact with a species that still uses chemical rockets? The vote was unanimous, as it always was for routine first contact missions. Ambassador Zrix would lead the diplomatic team, accompanied by Fleet Commander Veltar's battle group. They would follow the same protocols that had successfully integrated over 300 species into galactic civilization. 3 days later, Veltar stood on the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride as they emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The Catherian warship was a masterpiece of galactic engineering. 2 kilometers of sleek metal and crystal that could outgun most planetary defense systems. His escort consisted of 4 destroyer-class vessels, each more than capable of handling any threat a primitive species might pose. "All vessels report ready," Commander announced his tactical officer. "Excellent. Begin standard approach to the 3rd planet. Activate passive sensors and scan for their orbital installations." The tactical display showed exactly what they expected to find. A few primitive space stations orbited the planet, along with scattered debris from their crude rocket launchers. Several small probes moved slowly between the inner planets, confirming the intelligence reports about their limited space capabilities. "Commander," the sensor operator called out, "we're detecting multiple artificial objects in orbit around the 4th planet." Veltar frowned. Mars, as the humans called it, was supposed to be uninhabited according to their surveillance data. "Display the contacts." The main screen shifted to show long-range sensor readings of the red planet. Several large objects orbited in perfect formation, but the resolution was too poor to identify them clearly. They appeared to be space stations or possibly asteroid mining facilities. "Impressive for a primitive species," Veltar admitted. "They seem to have established mining operations faster than expected. Continue the approach." As they moved deeper into the system, more artificial contacts appeared on their sensors. The asteroid belt contained dozens of active installations, and several large objects moved between the planets on trajectories that suggested advanced propulsion systems. "Commander," the sensor operator's voice carried a note of confusion. "These readings don't match our intelligence reports. The humans appear to have far more extensive space infrastructure than we were told." Before Veltar could respond, every alarm on the bridge began screaming simultaneously. The main display erupted with proximity warnings as a massive contact appeared directly ahead of their formation. Where empty space had existed moments before, an enormous vessel now blocked their path. "Emergency stop. All ships, emergency stop." Veltar shouted. The alien fleet came to a halt just 5,000 kilometers from the mysterious ship. As their sensors focused on the contact, the readings that came back made no sense at all. The vessel was absolutely massive, easily 5 times the length of the Sovereign's Pride and several times as wide. Its hull appeared to be composed of dense metal alloys that their computers couldn't identify. "Where did that come from?" Veltar demanded. "Unknown, sir. It wasn't there a moment ago. Our sensors show no hyperspace signatures or engine emissions. It simply appeared." On the bridge of the human vessel, Prometheus, Captain Marcus Stone watched the alien fleet scramble to avoid collision with his ship. The stealth systems had worked perfectly, keeping them invisible until the precise moment he chose to decloak. Around him, his crew worked with the calm efficiency that came from years of preparation for this exact scenario. "Status report," Stone ordered. "All systems nominal, Captain," replied Commander Sarah Chen from the tactical station. "The alien fleet has stopped and is running active sensor sweeps on our position." Dr. Alina Vasquez looked up from her science station with a slight smile. "Their sensor technology is about what we expected. Quantum-based systems with subspace enhancement, advanced by their standards, but we've been studying their emissions for decades." Stone nodded. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for over 2 centuries, ever since the first detection of artificial signals from space. Unlike the rest of the galaxy, humans had chosen to listen before making contact. The decision had given them an enormous advantage that the aliens were about to discover. Communications, open a channel to the lead vessel, Stone commanded. Channel open, sir. Stone took a deep breath before speaking. The next words would change the course of galactic history forever. Alien vessels. This is Captain Marcus Stone of the United Earth starship Prometheus. We are aware of your mission and your intentions. We appreciate your interest in our species, but we must respectfully decline your offer of contact. The effect on the alien bridge was immediate. Fleet Commander Veltar stared at the communications console in shock. The human had spoken in perfect galactic standard, the complex language used for interspecies communication. More disturbing still, he somehow knew why they were here. How is that possible? Veltar whispered. His communications officer looked equally confused. Sir, galactic standard requires years of study even for advanced species. How could these primitives have learned it? Human vessel, Veltar transmitted, struggling to maintain his composure. This is Fleet Commander Veltar of the Galactic Defense Force. We have come to offer your species membership in the galactic community. This is a great honor that has been extended to very few worlds. Captain Stone's reply came immediately. Commander Veltar, we understand your offer perfectly. We have been monitoring galactic communications for over 2 centuries. We know exactly what membership in your community entails, and we respectfully decline. The alien commander felt his certainty crumbling. 2 centuries of monitoring. That was impossible. Their intelligence clearly stated that humans had only developed radio technology recently and showed no signs of advanced sensor systems. Perhaps you misunderstand the benefits we offer. Veltar tried again. Membership provides access to advanced technology, protection from galactic threats, and peaceful coexistence with hundreds of other civilizations. And, in return, Stone replied calmly, we surrender our independence and accept guidance from species who believe they know what's best for us. Thank you, but humanity has always chosen its own path. Dr. Vasquez spoke up from her station. Captain, their sensor sweeps are becoming more intensive. I believe they're trying to understand our technology. Let them look, Doctor. Make sure our defensive systems are visible on their scans. What the aliens saw on their displays defied everything they thought they knew about physics and engineering. The human ship wasn't just large. It was radiating energy signatures that should have been impossible. Power output equivalent to a small star. Shield harmonics that didn't match any known technology. Weapon systems that their computers couldn't even classify. Commander Veltar's weapons officer called out in disbelief. Their armament appears to include kinetic accelerators capable of near-light speeds, fusion warheads with yields in the gigaton range, and energy weapons operating on principles our databases don't recognize. Veltar stared at the tactical display showing threat assessments for the human vessel. Every single system was highlighted in red, indicating extreme danger to his fleet. According to his computers, the human ship could destroy his entire battle group in minutes. This is impossible, he muttered. Species that just developed spaceflight don't build ships like this. Commander Veltar, Captain Stone's voice filled the bridge again. I can see that you're having trouble understanding what you're facing. Allow me to clarify. Humanity has never been primitive. We simply chose to remain hidden while we learned about the galaxy and its inhabitants. The human captain paused, letting that revelation sink in before continuing. We know about your surveillance probes. We know about your databases cataloging our supposed weaknesses. We know about the debates in your council chambers where you dismissed us as just another primitive world to be absorbed. What you didn't know is that we were listening to every word. Fleet Commander Veltar felt ice forming in his veins. If the humans had been monitoring galactic communications for centuries, they knew everything about galactic politics, military capabilities, and first contact protocols. More terrifying still, they had used that knowledge to prepare for this exact moment. "What do you want from us?" Veltar asked, his voice barely steady. "Nothing," Stone replied. "We don't want protection, guidance, or membership in your galactic community. We want to be left alone to develop on our own terms. Consider this a friendly warning that Earth is off limits to uninvited visitors. And if we refuse to comply..." Captain Stone's next words sent chills through every being on the alien bridge. "Commander, I suggest you run a deep sensor sweep of our solar system. Look very carefully at what you're really facing." Humanity's true power revealed Fleet Commander. Veltar's hands shook as he ordered the comprehensive sensor sweep of the Sol system. What the scans revealed made him question everything he thought he knew about warfare, technology, and humanity's place in the galaxy. The primitive mining installations he had initially dismissed were revealed to be massive defense platforms, each one bristling with weapons that could threaten capital ships. The objects moving between planets weren't cargo vessels but patrol craft larger than his destroyers. Commander, his sensor operator, reported with barely controlled terror. "I'm reading over 300 defensive installations throughout the system. Each one is broadcasting weapon signatures that exceed our threat assessment protocols." But that wasn't the worst revelation. Hidden in the asteroid belt, masked by the metallic debris that had fooled their long-range surveillance, were dozens of massive constructs that could only be described as fortress stations. Each one was the size of a small moon and armed with weapons that made the Prometheus look lightly armed by comparison. "By the ancient stars," Veltar whispered, "how many ships do they have?" His tactical officer worked frantically at his console, before looking up with wide eyes. "Sir, passive sensors are detecting at least 40 vessels of various sizes hidden throughout the system. The largest ones rival our dreadnought-class ships." Veltar's mind raced. 40 ships meant humanity had a larger fleet than most galactic powers. The defensive installations suggested military engineering capabilities that surpassed anything in known space. Most disturbing of all, they had achieved this level of development while remaining completely hidden from galactic surveillance. "Commander..." Veltar, Captain Stone's voice filled the bridge, calm and professional despite the implied threat. "I trust your sensors are giving you a better picture of the situation now." "How is this possible?" Veltar asked, abandoning any pretense of diplomatic protocol. "Our intelligence indicated that your species had barely achieved interplanetary flight." Dr. Alina Vasquez's voice joined the conversation, her tone carrying the patience of a teacher explaining basic concepts. "Commander, your intelligence was based on what we allowed you to observe. We've been aware of your surveillance probes for over 2 centuries. We simply made sure you saw exactly what we wanted you to see." The implications hit Veltar like a physical blow. Humanity had been conducting a massive deception operation for 200 years, making themselves appear primitive while secretly building a military capability that rivaled the greatest powers in the galaxy. The level of planning and patience required for such an undertaking was beyond anything he had encountered in his military career. "Captain Stone," Veltar said, struggling to maintain his composure. Surely you understand that isolation is not a viable option. The galaxy contains threats that require coordinated response. Rogue AI systems, pirate fleets, stellar phenomena that can destroy worlds. No single species can face these dangers alone. Commander Stone replied with what sounded almost like amusement. You seem to be under the impression that we want to face these dangers alone. We never said we intended to remain isolated forever. We simply refuse to join your galactic community as a junior partner. Then what do you propose? We propose joining as equals. Humanity will establish diplomatic relations with any species that recognizes our sovereignty. We will participate in galactic commerce, scientific exchange, and mutual defense agreements. But we will do so on our own terms, not as supplicants begging for protection. The alien commander felt his worldview crumbling. The galactic order had been built on the assumption that older, more advanced species would guide younger ones. The idea that a newly contacted species might demand equal treatment had never been considered. That's not how first contact works, Veltar said weakly. It is now, Stone replied firmly. Commander, I'm going to share some information that your council should find interesting. Our long-range sensors have been monitoring galactic activity far beyond your communication networks. We know about the Vorthan expansion in the Outer Rim. We know about the AI uprising in the Perseus Arm. We know about the dark matter anomalies that your scientists can't explain. Each revelation hit the alien fleet like a physical blow. The Vorthon expansion was classified at the highest levels. The AI uprising was known only to a few dozen individuals in the entire galaxy. The dark matter anomalies were so secret that even most council members had never heard of them. Impossible, Veltar breathed. That information is restricted to the highest levels of galactic security. Commander, Dr. Vasquez interjected. When you've been listening to galactic communications for 2 centuries, you learn to decrypt more than just basic transmissions. We've been monitoring your military channels, scientific networks, and intelligence. Communications. We probably know more about current galactic affairs than most of your council members. Captain Stone's voice returned, carrying a new edge of authority. Which brings us to our first offer of cooperation. Those dark matter anomalies your scientists can't explain. We solved that problem 60 years ago. The AI uprising in Perseus. We have containment protocols that would end it in weeks. The expansion, our analysis indicates 3 strategic weaknesses that would collapse their entire offensive in months. You're claiming you can solve problems that have baffled our greatest minds for decades. We're not claiming anything, Commander. We're offering to share solutions in exchange for recognition as equals in galactic affairs. Veltar looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Every one of them showed the same expression of shock and growing realization. Humanity wasn't just technologically advanced. They had been studying galactic problems and developing solutions while everyone else assumed they were primitive savages hitting rocks together. I need to contact the Galactic Council, Veltar said finally. Of course you do, Stone agreed. But Commander, I should warn you that your reinforcement request has already been detected by our monitoring systems. Veltar's blood ran cold. He had sent a priority distress signal to Galactic Defense Command 40 minutes ago, requesting immediate military support. The message had gone out on heavily encrypted quantum channels that no known technology could intercept. How could you possibly know about that? Because the Galactic Defense Force responded, Stone said calmly. 53 ships just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of our system. Quite an impressive fleet, actually. Admiral Vex is commanding, if our intelligence is correct. The main display on Veltar's bridge activated, showing long-range sensor contacts appearing throughout the outer system. Ship after ship materialized as the galaxy's most powerful military force arrived to deal with what they assumed was a primitive species causing trouble for a routine first contact mission. Admiral Vex, to all vessels, came a new voiceover. The communication system. This is Galactic Defense Force, Battle Group 7. We are here to resolve the situation and escort the human representatives to appropriate facilities for processing. Captain Stone's response was immediate and carried throughout the system on all frequencies. Admiral Vex, this is Captain Marcus Stone of the United Earth starship Prometheus. Welcome to the Sol system. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding about the nature of this situation. Human vessel. Admiral Vex replied with the confidence of someone commanding the most powerful fleet in galactic history. You will lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. Resistance to galactic authority will not be tolerated. What happened next would be talked about in military academies for generations to come. 3 more ships identical to the Prometheus simply appeared around Earth, decloaking simultaneously in perfect formation. But these were not the only human vessels to reveal themselves. Throughout the system, defensive platforms powered up their weapon systems, creating energy signatures that blazed like new stars on every sensor display. Admiral, Captain Stone said with deadly calm, "You are outnumbered, outgunned, and operating in a system designed specifically to neutralize threats like your fleet. I suggest you reconsider your approach." The Galactic Fleet's tactical computers went into overdrive, trying to calculate threat assessments for the human forces. The results were unanimous and terrifying. According to every simulation, the Galactic Fleet would be completely destroyed within the first hour of engagement. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a fortress that could challenge the combined military might of a dozen species. Admiral Vex stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. In 3 centuries of military service, he had never encountered a situation like this. The human defensive grid was beyond anything in galactic military theory. Their ships showed design principles that made no sense according to established engineering doctrine. Most disturbing of all, they had achieved this level of capability while remaining completely hidden from galactic intelligence networks. "This is Admiral Vex to all galactic vessels," he announced over the fleet communication system. "Stand down to non-combat status. Repeat, all ships stand down." "A wise decision, Admiral," Captain Stone acknowledged. "Now, shall we discuss the terms under which humanity will establish relations with galactic civilization?" Dr. Vasquez activated her science station's external display, projecting a holographic image that could be seen by both fleets. It showed a detailed star map of the local galactic region, but with information that made every alien officer stare in amazement. Human exploration ships had already visited over 50 star systems, establishing research stations and monitoring posts throughout a region the galaxy assumed was empty space. "Ladies and gentlemen," Stone addressed both fleets simultaneously. "Humanity has been exploring space for over a century. We currently maintain active operations in 53 star systems within 100 light-years of Earth. We have established diplomatic contact with 17 species that your galactic community has never encountered. We have catalogued over 2,000 habitable worlds and identified resources that could support galactic civilization for millennia." The silence that followed was absolute. Every alien officer in both fleets struggled to process the implications of what they were hearing. Humanity hadn't just been hiding their military capabilities. They had been conducting the largest exploration and colonization effort in galactic history, while everyone assumed they were stuck on their home world. Furthermore, Dr. Vasquez added, "Our research has produced solutions to several problems currently facing galactic civilization. We have developed medical techniques that could extend the lifespan of most known species. We have created agricultural methods that could end food scarcity on hundreds of worlds. We have designed environmental restoration protocols that could repair the ecological damage on war-torn planets." Captain Stone's voice carried across both fleets with absolute authority. "Humanity offers all of this to galactic civilization as equals and partners. We will share our knowledge, our resources, and our capabilities with any species willing to recognize our sovereignty and treat us with the respect due to a major galactic power. And if the Galactic Council refuses?" Admiral Vex asked quietly. "Then we will continue our expansion independently," Stone replied without hesitation. "We will establish our own sphere of influence, develop our own alliances, and protect our interests as we see fit. The choice is yours, Admiral. You can have humanity as allies and partners, or you can have us as competitors who know all your secrets and capabilities." Fleet Commander Veltar looked at his tactical displays one final time, studying the defensive grid that surrounded him. The humans had built something unprecedented in galactic history. A fortress system that could challenge the entire galactic military while maintaining perfect operational security for 2 centuries. The level of planning, patience, and technical sophistication required for such an undertaking marked humanity as potentially the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered. Admiral Vex, Veltar transmitted on a secure channel. "Recommend immediate withdrawal and emergency council session. We are not equipped to handle this situation." "Agreed, Commander." "Captain Stone, this is Admiral Vex. We will withdraw our forces and convey your message to the Galactic Council. I trust our ships will be allowed to leave unmolested." "Of course, Admiral. We have no desire for conflict. We simply insist on being treated as equals rather than primitives to be absorbed and controlled." As the galactic fleets began their withdrawal, Captain Stone stood on the bridge of the Prometheus and watched humanity's first contact become humanity's declaration of independence. They had revealed themselves not as supplicants seeking membership, but as a power demanding recognition. The galaxy would never be the same again.